Mabuhay!
Hi! Welcome to
The Babaylan Bruha Book Club podcast.
It's Your Village Kapwatids, Steph.
And Imee, and here we are together again. And as always, in efforts to decolonize our minds, bodies, and reconnect with spirit by ways of relation via conversation, of education, interpretation, and integration.
So, this is our invitation for you to join us on our journeys as we discuss the works of honored artists, authors, and thought leaders in the Filipinx diaspora.
Quick disclaimer, we want to acknowledge that in this moment, everyone is exactly where they need to be.
And since we are not experts, yet we share our own unique lived experiences, we invite you to take or toss any statements, opinions, words that we may use as you choose.
We are so glad you found your way here.
So as always, before we begin, we always want to take a moment to ground, taking a pause and drop into our bodies and come into this space. If it's safe for you, we invite you to close your eyes, straighten your spine, and direct your focus now to your breath. Take a few deep inhales, extending your belly button out. And as you exhale, bring your belly button into your spine. Let's do that one more time together. Inhale. Expand your lungs. And exhale. Bring your belly button back to that spine. Feel free to continue on your own as we connect to your body, into this moment. Can you try to not think about anything that happened today, yesterday, anything you're going to do after this? Is it possible to feel what it's like to be in the here and now moment? And as we begin our conversation today, we always thank God Batala, Creator, for another gathering. In gratitude, we acknowledge our benevolent ancestors, and we invite all the forces, the seen and unseen, to guide and protect this conversation today. We acknowledge the original people and the lands Imee and I currently occupy, knowing that we cannot do our own decolonizing work without remembering them. For Imee, that's the mound builders that are the Hopewell and Adena people in Ohio. And for myself, that's the Bay Miwok Yokuts peoples in the Bay Area of California. With gratitude, we acknowledge your presence, dear Kapwatid, your energy, your light, no matter wherever and whenever you're tuning in.
All right, thanks for that prayer, Sissy. And as we begin another episode, you know how it always starts. This season we've been doing Bruha check, just checking in with our rituals and things. So we like to time ourselves so that we can be respectful of everyone's time and energy, because we can just talk, but we can turn off the recording and talk later.
We have too.
But so we give each other 90 seconds.
All right.
So I can go first. You want to
I'll
time?
pull up my timer. 1 minute and 30. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Yeah.
Okay, so it's crazy because this chapter is about water. Spoiler alert. Like that, the theme comes up a lot. And even before I realized that, I wanted to talk about water during our Bruha check. So I've been doing this thing with my water where I thank my water, okay? But I thank it for like thank you for making me healthy. Thank you for helping my organs work smoothly. Thank you for making my skin hydrated. Thank you for just healing me. And then I imagine, because water's energetic. I imagine that, like, there's magical swirls, and then I drank that, and it
You drank
honestly,
it,
it
girl.
tastes better. Like, I
Mhm.
feel like it tastes better, and I drink more water. And I've seen like on the internets and stuff, like rituals for water, like where people are like, speak the life that you want into your water or whatever. And I tried that, and it never hit. And I realized now that I'm actually talking to water, it's like the spirit of water, right? So animism was what our pre-colonial ancestors like believed in, that everything has a spirit and everything has a soul. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, I think I wasn't connecting with talking to my water before, because I wasn't talking to my water. But just to have gratitude to it for it, and it's like thank you for all of the things it's doing for me and like working with me. It just feels I don't know, feels good. And I drink more water. So there we go. And
Endorse her water. The something. Endorse her. You look like you're endorsing that cup of water. Is it cold too? It looks like a cold cup of water.
no, no, it's like I drink it room temperature. I don't know if that's gross, but I
Oh,
don't like it
water.
super cold.
Cheers, sis.
Oh, cheers.
Well, thank you for that, Sissy. That brings up one of my teachers talked about Dr. Yamamoto. I think it was he's a Japanese research scientist, and he took pictures of water, and proving water has consciousness. Have you heard of you've heard of
Yeah,
it?
yeah. Like he spoke like mean words to one glass of water, and then he spoke loving words to another glass, and then he froze it and then looked at the what it looked like underneath the microscope. And the
Yep.
one that had the words that were mean and just horrible, like it was all jagged, like the water was jagged. But then the one that was spoken to lovingly, like, had all these like beautiful geometric designs and stuff. So
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
the words broke down the
Yeah.
water, like the mean words broke down the water.
Yes. Yes. So I thank you for sharing that gem. That gives folks hopefully a perspective, even with Dr. I hope it's Yamamoto. We're a book club, so we're gonna be
We're gonna cite our sources. We're gonna
water
make
no,
sure.
Emoto. Masaru Emoto.
There we go.
Um, he is the one who, yeah, did the experiment with water, and you can look him up, Dr. Masaru Emoto, Emoto.
Yeah, and
Yeah, think of
we are mostly water, so we need to speak kindly to ourselves.
yes, think about the things that you say to food. That's why it's nice to pray over your food.
Yeah, and I was actually telling my partner, like, now I understand what prayer is. Like, I felt disconnected from praying for my food at when I was in the evangelical church, because it
Yeah,
just felt like something empty, because I
yeah,
was thinking like I don't know, but to actually think the thing that is going into my body just feels way more energetic. So,
yeah. Funny, like little quick side story. Me and my ex-partner used to pray over our food, but it was just so funny. Like, I think, what was it? Maybe like some junk food ass diner ass fast food or something. And I was like, are we gonna pray over this? He's like, no, we're not gonna pray over this. He's like, we could hope that this will bless our insides, but it probably won't. So anyway, yeah, pray over your food, y'all. Pray over your water. Thank you for that, sis.
are you ready to go with your
Yeah.
Bruha Ting?
Yeah.
Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1.
So, in light of energetics and Bruha Tings, I have committed to a feng shui project. And I actually wanted to commit it to my room. So, if y'all's been listening for a while, shout out to you. You know who you are listening. My house has gone through like a whole kind of shift since my brother and sister-in-law and baby nephew moved in. So every room kind of got moved around except my bedroom. And for a while, I felt like my internal landscape was not was not like matching the external landscape. And I don't know if people care about this stuff, but like moving your bed and your and furniture and bed sheets, and I really do take care and like what I hang on my walls. And I was actually talking to my best friend the other day, and she was like, ever since like we were kids, I would hang up like posters of music. She's like, I always liked being in your room because it's like something cozy and like comforting and open. And I was like, oh. So, anyways, I curated my room again, and that's been my feng shui. And I think that it's just so interesting. Like, I couldn't do any of my schoolwork. I couldn't really show up at work. I didn't feel right until like my room was like set. And it's still actually not all the way done. But I think that process has also taught me how to take things in small pieces and be okay with things not being perfect. And also just realizing like this isn't my time. Okay, this isn't like a permanent situation where I'm at right now, but in the meantime, between time, like I'm fairly pleased. I got like a velvet comforter, y'all. So that's Bruha. So
Yes.
witches love their velvet. So, anyways,
I mean, it's true. I got a velvet comforter.
yes. I don't know why I was late to the game, but and satin sheets. Satin.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
I'm feeling really I'm feeling much better. And this is a new configuration too to my room. I usually put my bed against the wall, but it was like time to bring it on out. So
Yeah. I mean, that can, like you said, that's like energetics. There's certain, that's why people cut their hair after, or change their hair after major events in their lives,
color it.
or they're color it. Like men grow beards, so, or people who can grow beards, they do that, right? And so, like, it's just, there's something different about changing stuff around. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels good. And that I'll say this in closing. There's actually like articles out there, y'all, about like how you place your bed to the window, to the wall.
To the window, to the wall.
Right. Yeah. So that was like part of my thing. Like it was like I don't want my head to the door and all this stuff. So
Right.
feng shui. Feng shui. If you're feeling like something is off, move some furniture around.
Do it. All right, thanks, Sissy, for sharing that. And as always, Babaylan Brujas out there, check in with yourself, and not as a guilt thing, but just like, what can you change? Can you change things up energetically? What can you add? And yeah, just keep it fresh, and just bless you in your ritual.
All right, y'all. So moving on, moving on up, moving on.
Onward and upward.
You know that song? Moving on up.
Up to the east side. Yeah. To a deluxe apartment
In the sky. Okay. So are we showing our age? Because I bet you some of these younger ones are like, what is that? Anyway.
We're not ates right now. We are Lola.
Well, I would love to be a Lola. That is a privilege denied to many.
This is true. Okay. Anyway, let's go.
Brown Girl Cliff Notes. We made it. We are excited to wrap up this final episode of 1521 with discussing chapter 18. And after Judy's brief conclusion, citations stemming from Saint Bernadette Soubirous, that's French, to Roman baths, Filipino bathing habits, to holy water. I discussed how this chapter intricately touches into the sacredness of pre-colonial relations to water, as it ties to instilled modern day Catholic Christian practices that end up as blessed holy water in our purses or our altars and beyond.
Yes. And so I think where this is basically chapter 18, but we're going to lump in the conclusion because the conclusion was, just a couple pages long. So But just something came to me. I think in the last episode, Sissy, you talked about for your Bruha Tings, you were doing cold baths. So I was like, that is also very watery and very, I guess, like on topic for what we're about to talk
I
about.
know. Yeah.
Interesting, right?
I thought about bringing it up today, but I think I already talked about it.
Yeah.
But I do speak into that water when I plunge in, or I
You
say
do? Oh
prayers while I'm in the water. Like this water is healing me, stuff like that.
yes.
And sorry, my teacher has also showed me to acknowledge she calls them devas, so they're spirits. Obviously, we all know in her culture, or wherever her training comes from, devas, but we know them as spirits, right? We see things as animus. So, anyways, I thank the water devas too, because they're blessing my body.
The spirit of the waters. So yeah. Well, let's just that's it for Brown Girl Cliff Notes. We're just gonna go ahead and dive in. We're gonna dive in. See what I did there?
I did, but the Florida water left me. It was I don't want to be in this picture.
So we wanted to show you our holy waters, our sacred waters. What do you have, sis? What do you got?
I got Costco. I got America Falls. My mom did this one, y'all. And this must have been I think she traveled to the Holy Land and she got this one blessed. This is a random one. And then I wanted to include Florida water. It's not culturally part of our culture, but probably a lot of people.
Yeah, I got Florida water too.
You do?
But can I just say that that's very sweet of your mom, and also super Filipino just to put it in just like some random ass water bottle
and tape it up.
Yes. Oh, if y'all are not listening or watching on the YouTube,
you gotta watch.
Because this
Thank
is
you,
amazing.
Waters.
Thank you, Waters.
Yeah, that's why they kind of also shriveled up, because they've been by my bedside.
Yeah.
For at least a couple years. This one definitely a couple years, like 1 or 2, 3.
Can you not will they not be blessed if you open them up? Can you put them in another container?
Yeah, this one I probably should. Oh, that's a good idea, sister. I should. I have a geometric glass container I want to put them in. Yeah.
There you go. Okay, so here's my water. It is in
Hers is so much
a glass jar with a gold top that says Mayari Moon Apothecary. I used to make apothecary items a lot. And this is actually water from the river that we used to do cold dips in. So this is from that spot. So it's got all the rivery stuff in there, but I keep it on my altar because it's what for the element of water, and it means something special to me. At that time, it was a very energetic time. So that's my water. So do you keep let us know down in the comments. Do you keep water on your altar? Do you carry holy water in your car? What do you do with your water? Or do you bless your water when you drink it? I love water, honestly. All right.
And drink some water if you haven't. Drink some water today.
Yes, stay hydrated. Pause us, come back though, but pause and then go drink some water and come back, okay? Okay, so let's jump into these vocabulary words. Yes?
Okay.
All right, so you know how it goes. We will both share vocabulary words and we will both share some quotes that hit us. So I can go first, Sissy? Cool?
Excuse me, yeah.
Okay. All right. So my word is from 246 in chapter 18, and the word is reconquista, which was a series of battles by Christian states to expel the Moors from Spain. So the context for bringing this in is we're talking about bathing, and how Spain actually, just like the Philippines, was very fond of bathing, but at some point in time, it was looked down upon. And so it turns out that that was for political reasons. So the beginning of the 16th century saw the conclusion of the centuries-long Reconquista, which is what I just said, a series of battles by Christian states to expel the Moors from Spain. In consolidating this victory, Christians became hostile and distrustful towards Muslims and Jews and anything associated with them. Laws were passed and brutally enforced by the Spanish Inquisition, forbidding activities that were deemed suspicious or that had too close an association with Muslim traditions. So bathhouses and the very practice of bathing came under scrutiny, for they were linked to the customs of quote unquote infidels, who, according to the racial concepts at the time, were compelled to bathe by inherited blood. So bathing became associated with impurity at the time. And I think that's just wild. That political reasons.
Yeah.
People were like, you know what? It's better to be dirty and smell.
Maybe that's why Europeans became smelly and disgusting.
Yeah, that's why the Black Plague happened.
Jeez.
Okay. So anyway, Reconquista. And it's just interesting just how even political things, global political things, will have an impact on your daily fucking habits, your daily habits. So this is why we have to dismantle and the colonization with inside of us and in the systems, because it affects our everyday life, you know?
Yeah.
So anyway, that's my word. And I know we're going to talk more about the Philippines, our ancestors, and getting
And
clean.
water. Yeah. I actually want to redact my words if you're complete.
I am complete.
To continue.
Okay, yeah.
The anti-bathing sentiment only grew as the 16th century wore on. Walsh wrote that following the lethal measures against bathing and bathers, people were brought before the tribunal of the Inquisition, tortured and punished under the accusations of bathing or even for being too clean.
What?
Your man's be wildin', bro. Like, what's wrong with the shower?
Those suspected were often
Brown people.
women.
Oh, Lord.
Suspected were often women.
Yeah. Moorish men, however, did not escape persecution for bathing. Bartolome Sanchez, for example, confessed to bathing in 1597, was imprisoned for the loss of all property. Miguel Canate, a gardener, was tried and tortured in 1606 under the accusation that he washed in the fields where he was working.
Like, yo, what? Yeah. And then the whole women thing, Walsh said it seems that what excited the imaginations of Christian men was the combination of hot water and nudity. Like, she's just taking a bath. Like, calm the fuck down.
And that's where they definitely need Jesus, because they need to learn how to constrain their fucking urges.
Yeah.
That's a cognitive distortion. Okay.
Yeah.
It's called blame shifting.
Exactly.
Placing the blame on someone else rather than yourself. The church needs CBT. That's cognitive behavioral therapy. Okay.
Oh, listen. Yeah, you are correct though. But yeah, that's wild that people were brought against tribunal for being
taking a damn shower, Lord.
Being too clean.
God, please forgive us, humans. Especially
yeah.
I mean, my ancestors were doing what they're supposed to do. So, anyways, those are our vocabulary words. Give you a little brief Yeah, summary of the ridiculousness that Europeans banned showering.
Yeah, for their
That
own people.
sounds
Like, okay, just think about that. Just think about that. Just literally think about that. Like, so some guy back then was like, yes, like, wifey of mine. No wife of mine is gonna smell good. Like, what?
whore, you took a shower today.
Yeah,
And now, like, they definitely want us all to be. I mean, come on.
I want us to be showered.
I
What the
yeah, I don't want to smell your balls. Like,
hell?
men smell too. Okay, like, and it ain't
Oh.
only here. Everybody got a booty. It's so funny. One of my trainers, he's like, after a session, he's like, okay, now go take a shower because your booty stank. Rude. But it's true. Like, go take a shower. The hell.
So funny.
Anyways,
Okay,
yeah,
so take a shower and be grateful.
yeah, because you used to lose property when you used to take a shower.
You used to die. So,
Wow, yeah, wow.
yes. All right, and complete.
All right, so let's move on to quotes. Mine is on page 248, and I just appreciated the portrayal of what Filipinos did. Like, I mean, we're an archipelago. Like, you don't gotta be necessarily in a field. You can go to the beach, take a shower. So, I liked how on page 248 he said it's Ate Judy writes about how Filipinos would give up their daily bath at sunset. But they actually, yeah, so they bathed at sunset. They stopped when the clergy told them not to do it.
Yeah.
But again, like, I mean, again, think of it, y'all. It's like Philippines being an archipelago, there's 7,000 plus island, or is it 7,000?
Yeah, 7,000 plus.
Okay, the dialects are like 3,000. Okay, well, they bathe themselves for hours. So let me say this. In 1604, Relacion de las Islas Filipinas, Jesuit missionary Pedro Chirino shared some information about Filipino bathing habits. He wrote that they bathe themselves at all hours for cleanliness and recreation. And even the women after childbirth do not refrain from the bath. And children just born are bathed in the rivers and springs of cold water. Through modesty, they bathe with their bodies drawn up and almost in a sitting posture, with the water to the neck, taking the greatest care not to be seen, although no one may be near to see them anyway. So, and Ate Judy kind of just says, when you visit the beaches in the Philippines, you'll see Filipinos sitting in this way. I never knew for the reason, but my experience was just nice to sit there and feel the warm salt water in her skin. But yeah, so the general hour for bathing is at the setting of the sun. Chirino continued to write, because at that time they have finished their labors and bathed in the river to rest and refresh themselves. On the way, they usually carry some vessel for bearing water to use in their domestic duties. So yeah, we was bathing, y'all, multiple times a day. I mean, we're in the fields and stuff and building homes.
Yeah, it's hot. For those of you who've been back, y'all know it's freaking warm out there. And I love this. And on page 249, they were saying they use baths as medicine. And that's what actually made me think of your cold bath, sis. That's medicine.
You're right. It is.
It's medicine. And so
yeah, here it says both sexes. Many Spaniards of both sexes as well. Ecclesiastics and religious have had recourse to them in various maladies and recovered from their health because of taking a bath.
go figure. And it's just crazy, like when you were talking about the quote from Pedro Chirino, like how he was just writing in wonder about they bathe themselves at all hours. And even the women after childbirth do not refrain from the bath. Listen, you've you've got to wash, especially after
What?
childbirth.
What are you talking about? Yeah. Wow.
And you be sweating from pushing, like, what the hell? And then he's like, and children just born are bathed in the rivers and springs of cold water. Like, you just keeping the babies in the womb juice? Like, what?
And the womb juice is funny. Can I just add on to Chirino also wrote that Filipinos kept a vessel full of water before the door of every house, every person. This is not going into yours, right, sis? Okay. Whether belonging to the house or not, who enters it takes water from the jar with to wash their feet before entering, especially during the season of much mud. And so
Oh,
she remembers seeing that in her childhood. Chirino keeps writing, they wash their feet with great facility, rubbing one foot with one another. The water flows down through the floor of the house, which is all cane and fashioned with window grating. And then, so it's just interesting. They talk kind of about this technique, like you're going to use your feet to wash. You're not going to use your hands to wash your feet because it'll get dirty. So anyways, I thought that was a good portrayal.
you know what this made me remember when reading this? So I had a coworker when I used to work at a bank, like when I was really young. And I live out here. So of course my coworker is white. She's very sweet. But for some reason we were talking about showers came up or something. And she was like, "Yeah, like I don't ever wash my feet in the shower." And she was like, "Do you?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" I was like, "Yeah,
This
I do." And she's like, "But the water just flows on them, so I don't feel like I have to like wash them."
Mm,
And I'm like, "No,
but
you got to get in between the toes.
and the toenails.
Yeah, like you got to wash your feet." And I'm like, now looking back, I'm like, maybe it's a Filipino thing. I hope it's a human thing. Like, people wash your feet.
Yeah, because you got dead skin cells on there. Clean
That's
that
so
shit.
insane. They make.
Anyway,
I'm confused. Like, they make foot
me
scrubs.
too. Oh,
Anyway,
dear. Yeah.
I'm so
Scrub your
glad what?
It says scrub your feet, y'all.
Scrub your feet. And
Sorry,
thank
what were
you.
you saying?
I was just gonna say thank you to the ancestors for giving us a legacy of water and of cleanliness. I love that.
I love
Are
that.
are you complete, Sissy?
I am complete. Thank you.
Okay, so I will share my quote, and it is from the end of chapter 18 on page 272. Ati Judy
52,
quote
right?
252. What did I say?
72.
Oh, my bad. 252. So Ati Judy quotes the historian Ambeth Ocampo in his book Prehistoric Philippines. He wrote, when the Spaniards introduced the wheel in the Philippines in the 16th century and later built roads and bridges, they would describe the Philippines as an archipelago of many islands separated by water. This was one of the great paradigm shifts brought by the Spanish colonial period because our ancestors saw water as a source of life and movement. For them, water connected rather than separated islands and peoples. They had no need for they had no need for the wheel because they were seafarers and almost everyone knew how to swim. Pre-Spanish Filipinos didn't see the need for bridges because their watercraft brought them from one riverbank to another, from one island to another. So I just thought that was really, I don't know. Like when I was growing up, I never thought of us as seafaring people. When I thought of Philippines, I wasn't like, oh yeah, we were sea people. I'd never thought of that at all. And it seems like that is one of the rememberings that's deep. That's like very much pre-colonial. So, and I know I've said this on here before that when I go hiking in the woods, if it's nice weather out, I'm always trying to find a stream. I'm always trying to put my feet in a stream And to me, it's because all streams go to the ocean, and the ocean touches, our ancestral lands. So, like, that's what I always like. I had the thought, like, some part of this tiny drop of water might reach the Philippines, maybe. And so
Mhm.
it was like cool to read this, and was like water connected rather than separated islands and peoples. And it seems as that's even true for us in the diaspora. Like, we are not disconnected from our people and our lands if we have water. Water is medicine. Water is life, as the people of Turtle Island say
Yeah,
as well, water protectors. But yeah, baths are medicine, water is life, and it's a way to connect all of us. So yeah.
I love that. I love that. I I think I'm thinking about my own water experience. So I almost drowned when I was 4, and my parents put me in swim lessons. So I swam competitively from like age, I think 10 to 18, so like 8-ish years. And um water was like, I was literally in water like morning and evening. My hair smelled like chlorine. But there was something about being in water that often that was like, I don't know. I think I was just like, I didn't have the troubles that I think about today because I was just swimming, like literally
Yeah.
just swimming. So,
Hmm.
anywho, my mom calls me her little dolphin, and I probably was in a past life. I already know. But yeah, yeah, water is um it's an interesting medium, and it does bear
Yeah.
witness. Oh, the thing I wanted to say was I swam for the Delta skimmers. So the Delta comes from the ocean. I
Yeah.
remember that's when I started, that's when I learned like, oh, what's a delta? And I looked it up. The delta connects to a river or stream, and the stream connects to the ocean. So
Yeah. It's
like,
all connected. We're all connected somehow
yeah.
through water. Even people, if you think about it, you come through the waters of your mother's womb, technically, right? So there's a lot. It's deep. And I think it's really important to um, you know, remember that part, that we have a deep connection to water, especially as for us in the diaspora, to remember that, and to maybe it'll feel good to be in water if we're not by, like by our ancestral lands. So, all right.
Cool. Thanks for sharing that, sis.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, conclusion chapter. We made it. Page 255 and on. Thank you, Ate Judy. Again, shout out to her for her initiative to create something like this, especially during the pandemic. It's very timeless. Some thoughts we had. I mean, we're just kind of sharing. There's something on 256 she wrote. How do you write a book about several centuries of Philippine history? The answer is you don't. And I
Yeah.
think that was a really great thought for me, because while this is like 255 pages, it does not capture everything. It is one lens, and
Yeah.
it's from one woman putting together multiple sources. And she did her due diligence. For people who were wondering wherever she got stuff, there's actually a citation. Very DC. So she has blogs, she has articles, you can look up the things that we talked about, where this book was crafted from. So yeah, I think she did her best to make them flow. She talked about how she had to cut out certain things because it didn't make sense. And I think that makes sense from speaking about writing about archipelago, country, that you can't really capture everything. But I think capturing the essence of what happened prior to being quote conquered, she did a really great job. There was insights that I would have not known had I not read the book or taken a Filipino history class. So this is very I'm excited to see how schools or, circles might pick this up or cite this book for reference. That's really the gist of my thoughts for this book.
Yeah, I liked how one of the things that said Ate Judy said in the conclusion was that histories are human stories. Um, so I like how, in the whole thing, she tried to find the humanity. She tried to find the individual stories of people like Enrique, right? So
Yeah.
that was one of the bigger characters. And she kind of, that's kind of how she concluded. Like, she basically concluded with the fact that she's still researching things that she didn't know about. She talks about how she read in John Letty Falan's The Hispanization of the Philippines. She read a curious passage that said the Dutch War was primarily responsible for the severe strains put on the Filipino population. And so she was like, Dutch War? What Dutch War? And she asked her Filipino friend, her like other Filipinos, like, do you know about the Dutch War that affected our ancestors? And people were like, no. And so she was saying, it's just like Enrique. That's how she was trying to figure out about Enrique. Like, who was this person? And so she ends with, and I found another mystery to explore from the Philippine history. So here we go again. So I feel like, I don't know, I feel like at first, like it was getting kind of heavy for me, just the loss and the loss and the loss and the loss and then the loss, right? And so to end with the fact that we're actually not as lost as we may feel, and we are not as disconnected as we may think either, right? So and to frame it as like she's going to go find another mystery from our history, it's almost like bars mystery from our history anyway. But yeah, it just feels like, yeah, we lost stuff, but we're able to find things too. So
So if you're tuning in, you've been tuning in, thank you for coming this far with your ates, and we thank Ate Judy and she has a slew of acknowledgements and appendix again for reference. Anyone wants to continue down the rabbit hole of citations and things out there already, it's needed. So this is a sign to keep going and supporting the diaspora and reclaiming our history. And it's been a great book to sit with. And we're closing out on episode 49.
What?
So we're excited to keep going too. We will be launching season 4 soon, and it'll be on 50.
Yes. So thanks for hanging out with us this long, and let us know what you thought of the book down in the comments. And thank you, Ate Judy, and thank you to you all. As we gratefully end this conversation, separate and cleanse our energies, and close out this container, we must recognize and honor all our ancestors, guides, and forces that brought us all here. We also recognize you, dear Kapatid, for tuning in to this conversation today. And as always, your ates leave you with a blessing. As you continue on this lifelong journey of reclaiming the mystery of our histories, may you remember that water is medicine. May you know that you are not as lost as you may feel, for our ancestors have been looking for you as much as you have been looking for them. May you know that they are proud of the way you are learning, integrating, and healing. May the remembrance of Kapwa anchor you back into your heart. And until we see you again, may you know that all is well and will be well, and that no matter what happens, you are